Hello, my name is Connor Lorber, and today I'm doing another Lightroom tutorial. So the last two tutorials I've been working on have focused on really colorful skies at sunset. So this one I'm going to go a little different. I'm taking a pretty gray, I don't want to say colorless, but not nearly as colorful as a sunset. I'm taking one of those types of photos, and I'm going to turn it into something a little more interesting. So I have a shot of Hayward Field in Eugene, Oregon at the University of Oregon in the snow. And we're going to turn it into something a little more interesting, something a little more alive. Because right now it's relatively flat. So I'm going to go to my develop module. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to correct the lens. I'm going to go to the lens corrections. Sorry. Because there's some heavy vignetting going on because it was cold and there's a lot of moisture because of the snow. So I'm gonna just remove chromatic aberration. Not that that does much. Then I'm gonna enable profile corrections, and already that gives me a pretty good correction because there's no vignetting now. I was at a relatively wide angle, so it took away some of the distortion due to the lens. You can see it's kind of like a fisheye, not really a standard fisheye, but there is some distortion, and that's fixing it. So now I'm gonna straighten out my photo and I'm gonna crop it. So it's slanting down a little bit right now to the right. So I'm just gonna take my angle tool and I'm just gonna try to line up two posts on the floor because that is a relatively straight line there. And there we go, the focus of it is now straight. I'm gonna crop in because I don't like these bleachers right here. I could probably remove them with Photoshop, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna leave this pretty quick. And I want to have about an equal spacing between the light and the edge of the frame on both sides. I'm gonna pull it in a little bit more to focus more on the gate. Okay, that looks better. Now I'm going to start going about making this a more interesting photo. So first, I'm going to just play around with my white balance a little bit. This is a raw photo. My other two, I was working with the JPEG. And this is my first tutorial with a raw photo, which every new photo I take from now is going to be raw. So there's going to be a lot more info to work with. There's not much I want to do in terms of white balance because it's already pretty good. I may be a little bit too yellow, so I'm just gonna make it a little cooler. I want it to be a little cold just because it's snowing out and it was cold, and I want to display that with my photo. Maybe add a little bit of magenta into it, but not a whole lot. A little warmer. That looks good enough to me. I'm going to increase my contrast, not by too much. And then I'm going to probably pull down the highlights because the sky is blown out due to the snow and the cloud cover. I'm going to boost the shadows. I don't want to boost the shadows too much because then that gives me a really flat image without any contrast. Once I add a little more contrast up here, I want to still pull back on the shadows just a little bit. Go at about 70, pull back on the contrast too. My white point, I'm not going to boost that because that's just going to blow out all the snow. So I actually want to just bring that down all the way as well. Blacks, I'm going to boost that just a little bit, but I actually might pull it down. That makes it pop a little more. Yeah, it makes it pop a little more against the blown out, or not blown out, white sky. Okay, might boost the overall exposure just a third of a stop. I'm gonna add some clarity. Clarity is really good for architecture. It makes the lines nice and sharp and really pop out. I don't want to add too much though because of the snow. I don't want the snow to be very sharp. Okay, so I want to make this photo more interesting, so I'm going to add some vibrance. I'm going to try to pull out these colors that are in the gate, make the green pop. I don't want to overdo it because I don't like the blue and I don't like the yellow on the bricks. So I'm just gonna go about halfway. So I'm starting to get the greens popping, but I'm not getting a lot of the blue in the sky, which I'm trying to avoid. And saturation and clarity are pretty much the same thing. So not much of a difference there. I'm just going to leave saturation at 0 where it was. And where we're going to get some interesting effects is if we go into our hue, saturation, and luminance. Here we can play around with individual colors, and I want to boost my greens. So if I go here, you can see, okay, apparently that's not being registered as green. Maybe it's a yellow or an aqua. That is interesting. There we go. Okay, so in the aquas, I'm just going to pull the blues towards the green, because what it's reading right now is it's reading this is about between a green and a blue. So the aqua, the intermediate color, if I pull it more towards the green, it's going to bring out the green that it's reading more than the blue. So I'm just going to pull that almost all the way. And the blue, probably going to leave a little, just a little bit towards the green. Okay, and split toning, what that does is it colorizes your highlights and your shadows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the highlights towards about a greenish yellow. Yeah, somewhere around here. And then I'm going to pull back on the saturation to make it more subtle. Okay, and shadows, I'm either going to go with a blue or a green. Let's see what I end up liking. I think maybe aqua might work good here. No, I'm probably going to go back to green and pull way back on the saturation. I'm actually going to leave the shadows alone. So I'm just colorizing the highlights. I'm going to add sharpening, architecture, want to be sharp. I'm at a low ISO, so I can add a decent amount of sharpening. I'm going to go hold down my Alt key, go to masking, because I don't want it to mask the snow as much as, or I'm sorry, I don't want it to sharpen the snow as much as I want it to sharpen just the architecture. Because mainly I want the lettering to be sharpened. And it's just a subtle effect. Maybe add a slight vignette. And okay, this is when we're gonna take this from just a normal photo to a really interesting one. So what we've done so far, let's take a look. So this is what we started with, and this is what we're at now. So it's already a pretty drastic difference, but we're gonna take it a step further. And how I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna go to my brush. I'm gonna have it set on exposure. I'm gonna go max exposure just so I can see the effect that I'm achieving. I'm just gonna paint across the lettering here. And then I'm gonna pull it back. So what that's doing is it's drawing the eye to where it's brighter, because that's what the eye naturally wants to do. And then I'm gonna go to my radial filters, because I think that'll work nicely with the size of this sign. I'm just gonna hold down my shift key to make it a perfect circle. And I want to invert the mask and feather it all the way. Well, my computer is lagging quite a bit. Okay, there we go. All right. So I'm going to, again, try to center this. And then I'm going to pull back on my exposure again. I want it to be very subtle. I'm going to duplicate this and bring it over to the other side. And then another technique that can add some life to the photo is turning the lights on in the lamps. So I'm going to add another radial filter about the size of the lamp. Invert the mask again, feather it all the way. And I'm just going to put it where the bulb would be. Come down on exposure just a tiny bit. I want it to be pretty high in exposure just because that's how a light's going to be. I'm going to duplicate it, bring it over to the other one on the left side. Okay. So what that's done is just add a little interest to the photo. And I don't like this little blotch of snow right here. It's blown out. It's really ugly looking, so I'm going to go to my heal tool. I'm going to make it about the size of the snow. And I'm just going to click that away. And it should give me... It did not give me as good of a spot removal as I wanted it to. And that, there we go. Okay. And at this point, I think I'm done. So if we just look at a before and after. Here's before, kind of flat. This is obviously the focus, but there's not much being done to make it interesting. It's just another picture. And here we've added some color and we've added some life to it due to the lights that we've added. Okay, and that was just a quick lesson on how to add some life to your photos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.